Welcome to episode 4 of Unima Talks with my good friend, Mr. Joe De Tullio. Joe De Tullio is the set designer for Saturday Night Live for 28 years, and he, just like me, has recently started his journey with puppets. And today we're going to talk about his journey with puppets and the things that he likes about puppetry. And I'm gonna welcome now Mr. Joe De Tullio. Hey, Joe.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, I can hear you now.
Okay, now let's see.
But
Sorry,
I
how
can't see you.
can you? Okay, can you see me now?
Oh,
Oh, yeah, there we go. Hold on, I had my glasses on. Okay,
oh,
is
it's
that
funny.
better?
It's funny. I was gonna do the same thing, and I said, you know what? Let's not do that.
Well, you can edit it out if you need to. It's
No,
fine.
no, no. It's funny because I
But
had
I
this.
had to, I'm not great on the computer.
No, it's
How's
good.
the shot here? We
You're a
can see
good-looking
everything.
guy.
Yeah, well, I had a lot of work done for this meeting.
Oh,
But
yeah.
anyway, this interview. Well, it's great to see you.
This is
And
what I was wearing this
oh
in the class.
yeah, you got the virtual ones. Mine are
Yeah.
real. So here, we'll have to get you a pair of these. These are great.
Oh, you ripped that off Groucho himself, right? Like you went
I
to his
did.
funeral and you took it off his face.
I did indeed.
Oh.
These are vintage, real Groucho nose and marks.
That's the real Groucho nose.
That's
Let
it.
me just get this thing off my face now.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, it's raining here.
It looks beautiful out there. What do you
Yeah,
mean?
it's
I
it's
didn't know
it's
you're at the beach.
I'm at the beach.
Wow, look at that.
I take that off. Can you hear the rain outside?
I cannot.
Okay, good. I was just wondering.
No,
'Cause
I can't hear that.
Okay, because all I can hear is the rain.
Wow, yeah, no, I don't.
How are
I
you,
just hear
Joe?
you. I'm good. How are you? It's coming off the O'Neill from, the conference and all. Always takes a little time to reintegrate, as people know, but it was a fun one this year. I wish you were there, but I guess
Yeah.
hopefully we'll see you next year, maybe.
I got one too many messages about I wish you were here.
That's good, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it was true.
Um, I was gonna I was gonna ask was it 26 or 28 years?
28 years at
28
a
years. I was right. I was right then.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My intros always tend to be a little weird, but then again, I'm a little weird, so
that's good.
Uh,
Well, we like that. People
yeah,
like
yeah.
weird is good.
Weird is good. You like my virtual beach?
I love your virtual beach. I hope to come visit it some. In fact, I could probably visit it today if I knew
Yeah.
what buttons to push.
You can visit. You go to virtual backgrounds and you get the beach.
All right. Well, we'll try that later, maybe, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to shut off my audio or video.
No. Um,
But anyway, so it's great to see you
Great
and
to see you too.
look forward to talking to you about whatever I might be able to share.
So what we do, we talk about the journey. We talk about what brought you to puppets. We're basically trying to get people at home in Trinidad interested in puppets. And
Yes.
and it's funny because I'm the only puppet guy here that does things like this. So I have to talk to you guys. I have to find people from around the world or my friends that I could, bring different aspects of puppetry. And I thought that Joe is one of the best that I know with building all these cool mechs and all these
Oh,
cool, yeah.
thanks.
So
Well, shout out to Jim Krupa, of course. Everyone knows, well, I don't know if everyone knows him, but you should look at his work if you could. He was my real inspiration in first class at the O'Neill that taught me. There's people call it the Krupa mechs, but
hmm.
he does, for those of you that don't know, he's really the master behind the, practical mechanisms. And he teaches that class wonderfully, and people love it. I mean, it's like, it's basically a fundamental, like, kit of tools that he teaches you with which to work. And once you kind of get an understanding of it, you'd be amazed, but you can make most any mechanism as soon as you understand the principles of it. Um, and that was really a big inspiration for me. That's when I said, wow, I love this. I can do this. Because my strength, I think, is fabricating. And I love doing the fabricating and I love the results. And I enjoy the performing to a certain degree, but it's not my strength, I don't feel. And
Hmm.
it's not my favorite part because, there's that whole anxiety and emotion of being up and starting to do a performance that I am not at all accustomed to, because my background is design, and that's where I
Mhm.
started my path in the world, at least
Mhm.
after college, and studied architecture. But I moved into television pretty early and designed for TV for, we were just saying, 28 years at
Mhm.
Saturday Night Live,
Mhm.
which there's a lot of puppets on the show, and we integrate with the puppets all the time. And I was always fascinated by them. In fact, we did a show down in the basement of the Irish Rep called Rafferty Rescues the Moon a long time ago. And it was my first real puppet show, but I was the set designer. I didn't, and I loved this little community of puppeteers. Bob Flanagan designed and created the whole show with a lot of the team. There was a writing, music, and a producer. Another gentleman I work with, Akira Yoshimura, who was really producing the piece. But we were in the basement of the Irish Rep, and we put this little show together, and I loved it. I loved it. And then years go by, I'm still doing design work. And someone mentioned the O'Neill to me, actually. And this is where I wound up really being drawn in. And they said, you should really apply. And I will never forget this. Every year I would print out the application, put it on my desk, and say, I'm going to apply this year. And that was 2015, I believe. It was 4 years before I really put the application. I thought, they're looking for puppeteers. I'm not a puppeteer. But I realized I have a lot of qualities that puppeteers tend to have, and I moved into it pretty, I think, fairly gracefully. I wouldn't say people know who I am or what I do puppet wise, but it's definitely been this draw that I'd like to develop and find, like, we all talk about having a second career, a third career. I would really like to get absorbed into this, but as we were talking earlier, sometimes it's very challenging to make a living doing this. I think that's important for people to know that.
Yeah.
I had a wonderful experience when I started working at NBC. There was a cast member, Kevin Nealon, who I really adore, and he was Weekend Update host. And he
Mhm.
went to my high school, but we weren't really close or anything. I didn't really know him. And
Mhm.
we were in the elevator one point, and I said, I had just started. I said, it's nice to meet you. He knew my father well, because my
Uh-huh.
father taught him and went to a lot of his stand up before he wound up
Okay.
on it.
Mhm.
So you're Norm's son. Yeah, yeah. I said, yeah, I was thinking I really want to be an actor and perform. And I think, and I want to do auditions and stuff, I think. And he said, oh, well, I said, do you have any advice? He said, we were only in the elevator. It was shorter than I'm making it. But he said, here's what I tell everyone that wants to perform. Make sure it's something you really love and you really want to do it and you enjoy it and it makes you happy, because you may do it your whole life and really not make very much money. And I thought, oh, that's not for me
Yeah.
then. But I enjoyed it to a certain degree, but I realized, boy, that's a long struggle, and to wake up 10, 20 years and realize I can't do this anymore. Um, or whatever, 5 years, 3 years.
Mhm.
So the puppetry thing, I moved into it in 2019, but I have spent a long time at NBC, and trying to kind of gather all this kind of knowledge that I could and move it into something else, because I think, like anything, you do it for a long time and you become a little bit tired of it and ready to be re-stimulated in another place.
Mhm.
So, it started with architecture, and that's when I got my work study grant in college. When I came back to school to finish, I took a year off and promised my parents I'd go back and finish. I went back to finish, and I got a work study grant as a carpenter in the theater. And that's when I said, oh, the building and this is the same, similar to
Mhm.
architecture.
Mhm.
So in a way, just to not to be so off on a tangent, but similarly, there have been puppets around my whole career, in terms
Mhm.
of constantly doing a sketch with a little puppet pops up, or even a puppet show on the show, and working with that puppeteer Bob Flanagan, who's been around for many years,
Mhm.
and we mounted our own couple of shows at the Irish Rep, and it was a lot of fun to me. Um, but then I realized I'd really like to shift more directly into really more seriously pursuing some of this stuff. I didn't think I could do it, but I guess I'm on my way.
But you're doing it.
Early
But
steps. There's
yeah.
people I'm around, as you know, at the O'Neill, that
Uh-huh.
I will never hold a candle to, I think, but I do find it amazing to have the opportunity to be alongside them and learn and teach Marty and Tim's class. I took twice. I could take it every year. I could take it constantly. I can never learn enough, but so much to offer there. You know, Krupa, as I mentioned, also Kurt Hunter and the Marionette Strand and the you know, Ulysses down at the shop there. I mean, they are of great value, and of course Pam and Jean Marie. I mean, the list goes on.
Hmm.
Tyler, all of these people that it's a really special place, and
It
I
is.
think it's in my mind right now so much because obviously we just finished,
Hmm.
and um, but it is this interesting family of you know people that come together every year, and it's something I look forward to very much. Um, in terms of the overall puppetry, well, it's a world that's new to me. I was talking to you earlier about how there's puppet slams all over, and when at first someone told me about a puppet slam, I thought that sounds dangerous, but but I didn't know what a puppet slam was any more than some people may watching this not know either, but it's kind of like I compare it when I'm talking to friends who don't know anything about the puppet worlds. It's like an open mic
It
tonight type
is.
of thing
Yeah.
for puppets,
Hmm.
um and it's that's really the best way to describe it. But God, if I knew they existed or were around, but apparently there's a lot of communities of them.
There are.
So
There are a lot of communities.
yeah.
Even like I think in well, there's the Connecticut Guild that does they do a lot of slams and stuff, and Heather, you said who you met, she's
Yes.
part of that guild.
Yes.
I think Kim who was in Krupa's Strand last year, she
Yes.
I think she's the president, you know.
Oh, I did not know
I
that.
think she is, yeah.
Yes, she had a great year this year too. She did
Yeah.
a lot of work. And yes, we met there,
Yeah.
and she's very close too. I'm in
Hmm.
Connecticut, and
Hmm.
she's just up in New Haven, I believe.
And then there's so much in New York. There's so many like puppet troops in New York that do so many things
Yes,
that you could just fall into and get involved in. And I think your piece that you did for the O'Neill is such an amazing piece, and that could travel with slams. You don't have to worry about music and who owns stuff and thing at slams because it's not a televised thing. It's
right.
yeah, you could just do your thing and people will like it.
Well, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was asked to participate in a few, and I guess this is very new to me, so we'll see.
Yeah,
But
you'll be good. You'll be great.
yeah, well, we'll
Slams are
see.
awesome. I
It'll
did
be
slams.
fun.
I did slams virtually in 2020. All
Okay.
year. All year. And it was crazy because Dana and I would just be at the dining room table doing the random things that we made up. And some we did live, some we did pre-recorded. So there's that. Bo Brown, he encourages virtual stuff. So that you could if you have the jitters about something, you could record something, a perfect piece, and send it to them and they put it into their slam virtually.
Yeah.
So
Love
there's
Bo Brown.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to reach out to him. I didn't know that
Yeah.
even. But
Bo does Dragon Con.
yeah, I knew
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
I don't know anything about Dragon Con. Again, this world is, even though 2019, interesting arc here, because 2019 is my first real O'Neill, and it was in person.
Hmm.
Then it went virtual,
Hmm.
and of course we were prepping for the first O'Neill was when I met Krupa,
Hmm.
and he was the one that was excited about his show.
Hmm.
And I said, "Can I help in some way? Like, I'm a set designer." And he was really receptive to me and wonderful. And of course, we started working on getting prepared for the next year. And because it went virtual, and his instincts were right, where he's not going to do it till we're live again.
Yeah.
The show not only germinated, but we developed some stuff. And I can't take credit. I mean, it was his piece, but helped him with the set elements. And Nappy, who people might or might not know, but is an amazing shadow puppetry artist.
Hmm.
They needed, basically, the first request was a screen,
Hmm.
and um, Jim just did a little sketch and said, "I'd like a covered wagon for a screen." And
Hmm.
he tells the story, but it was so funny because he's close enough that I mocked up, like, just out of cardboard and some
Hmm.
pieces. And I went up and said, "Why don't we meet up and talk?" And I met Nappy, and I said, I have this thing in my car if you want to see it. He said, "Yeah, sure, bring it in." I said, "It's kind of big." He said, all right, well, fine. You got room here?" I said, "All right, we'll do it." We set it up in his living room, and it was like a full covered wagon. He was kind of like, "Whoa." I think he just thought it would be a cutout of a
Yeah.
wagon with a couple wheels, but
Hmm.
I had done it three-dimensionally, and because that's what I do, play to your strength. And I remember him being so excited by it, and I was too.
Yeah.
So that was like my intro, and I also didn't know anything about the shadow screen. So I showed Nappy some material. I said, "Can it just be this canvas?" And he brought his light and tested it, and we actually did another meeting, I think, in my garage for it. But it was such a wonderful show, and it was Jim's second, I guess, part two of
Yeah.
a show we
Of the
did
show,
5
yeah.
years ago, the Howdy Do Part Duh. And it was really great fun. But that's when Jim said to me too, "Listen, if you're going to do the set and help me with all, you need to be in the show."
Yeah.
And of course, I was kind of played it cool, but I was like completely just shocked because I was
Hmm.
like, I can't do this. I don't.
But you
I,
did.
I said, if you give me something simple, I can do it, but I hope you're not expecting a lot of range out of me. I'm going to be honest. I never performed with a puppet in my life, aside from a sock on my hand, maybe as a kid, but don't we all try that?
Yeah. But I think
It's
even for me, it was fairly new to me. I mean, I've done things at home, but never like in the presence of somebody who actually knows what they're doing. It was
Yeah, well, to your
it was
credit, I mean, I
yeah.
will never forget too. We had a kind of silly audition, right? You
Uh-huh.
remember this, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And I remember Jim actually when he first completed, he did most of the puppets, but he encouraged the other people that he knew that were in the class to make their own and bring it and said,
Hmm.
you're going to be in the dog band. Will you
Yeah.
make a dog? That's what he said to me. And I said, sure, I'd love to make a dog, but how? And he showed me step by step. And then I went and made this dog, but he had finished that dog
Yeah.
on the
The
slap,
base,
whatever
yeah.
it is, base. And he sent me that, and I go, oh, this is such a great puppet. I want to use his puppet, not mine. I just made a dog head. And when he did the auditions for people like yourself, I
Uh-huh.
remember he was like, oh my God, this guy's perfect. This is great. He loved you. He was like,
I know.
he
And that
must have
was
been doing this
and,
for years. And you
and
were honest, right? You said, I don't do it a lot at all. It's no, your instincts are perfect. You're the dog. You're that dog. And you
yeah,
were
he
my
came.
shoulder rest
Yeah.
too, because I having not performed, I realized, geez, you got to hold your arm up this long. Like this hurts. I
So I
consider myself
learned
decent shape.
it's more is you learn to use your back more than your arm.
Yeah,
So
well,
the problem is doing this. So when you get
yes,
that range of holding it up like this, it's a little better. But with
yes,
that,
a big lesson.
I'll
But
tell you
because where the
something.
set was,
Yeah,
as you recall, we
yeah,
were
we
all
had to be like right here. Yeah.
in this position,
Hmm.
and boy, it
I
was
think I
hard.
think you and I should have gotten like some rolly stools or something to,
I yes,
yeah,
being a designer, I
yeah.
actually had designed a crutch that I wanted to just put my arm in.
Hmm.
And I don't know why I didn't do it. I was gonna just make one quick and put, but
It
I
would
thought
have
maybe
been,
it's in people's way. And
yeah, because
and
remember
then
we had to get
later
in and out.
yeah, and later
Yeah,
I learned there are people do that. It's not that
yeah.
unusual. At first I thought, oh, I'm cheating. I'm cheating, but and they always say, well, if you're comfortable, you're doing it wrong. I'm
Hmm.
not sure I agree on that philosophy.
No, no, you have to be
But
comfortable at all
if you're
times.
comfortable, you can do a better performance, I think.
Yeah.
So, um,
But I mean, even on the with the Muppets Mayhem with that band, they have like these special when they do concert stuff with the band with their band, they have these harnesses that they strap to their waist and it holds the entire arm this way,
oh
so
yes,
you could rest the arm and they could because think about it, it's 45 minutes. It's a 45-minute set. You're just there and you can't rest.
yes, it's a
Yeah,
long and
yeah, it's a long time.
uncomfortable,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, long time.
But I mean,
So
these guys have been doing it for a long time, so like, they get accustomed to it. But I mean, you will get tired.
yes,
Yeah,
those are some of the things I learned quick. I thought, how hard could it be? I think a lot of people think that when they approach a new craft,
yeah.
they
But
realize, no, it's
it is
hard.
hard. It is
Yeah,
hard because I'll tell you, when we started with Jim and we were like auditioning and stuff, I tried that huge puppet that Stuff did, the girl dog, the one girl dog puppet, that bulldog puppet, and that thing's a brick. Like I
yeah,
put my arm in that and I couldn't even move the mouth.
yeah,
Like it was
sure,
nuts. It was nuts
heavy.
how yeah, it was big and
Who
heavy
ended
and
up doing it? Was that
it
Stoff
was
or was that?
Stuff. It was Stuff.
Yeah,
Stuff did it,
Stoff.
yeah. Stuff
Yeah, another great.
and Kim did the arms.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Kim did the arms. But that base dog, I'll tell you, you'll think that it's an easy puppet. It's not because
No.
I had never used a mech before. And I'll
Right.
tell you what happened. So I'd never used the mech before, but everybody else did because I was looking at SB. SB was doing using the mech for the lap steel and stuff on the
Yes,
puppet that
that's
she
right.
had. And I was like, wow, I don't know what you do with these things. But I mean, it's just a trigger, right? But I had no time to figure it out. So while everybody was using this mech, I was like, okay, I'll utilize the arm that plays the bass and give that, and just use that. And basically, I just shake the bar
Right.
like
Right.
a little bit just to give him some movement. And then when I figured out the movements, then like afterwards he became a character. But just for that, it was just dumb luck, just me doing that thing.
Yeah, no, you were
Yeah.
great in it too, but I find it interesting now that you mention it because I didn't put much thought to it, but you had more to do than everyone because we were just, I mean, I was just mouth and I actually
Hmm.
was on the jug. The
Yeah.
jug, you had to move a little, but generally I just had to, do the mouth and the
Hmm.
jug. And you had three things to do.
Face
You had
Dog
the neck
played.
as well,
Yeah. But
the
but
arm flunking and the,
as
but yeah,
Cooper
so,
said, he said, the mech is there. Doesn't mean that you have to use the mech all the time.
right.
And less is more.
Right, which is
Yeah.
true. We learned
Yeah.
that
Less is
too.
more.
But it
Less
was a
is
big
more.
learning curve. That whole
It
show was
was.
wonderful.
The, my favorite part about that week was the chicken auditions.
Those were fun,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The
Be a
chicken
chicken.
auditions is nuts.
Yeah, I had to reach
Yeah,
down deep. That was Kira. She was great too.
yeah. Kira was gonna get that anyway. So, because the minute she held that, I was sitting next to Jim, and the minute she went behind the scenes with you to hold that chicken puppet, and she started
Yeah,
moving it around,
came
um,
to life.
he was like, "She's gonna be the chicken." I was
And
like,
then
"Really?"
her
Yeah.
vocal audition was amazing too. She was perfect. So
And
it
Kira's an
was funny
amazing
how
puppeteer.
everybody just fit
Yeah,
into the parts.
yeah,
That was really great. And who else? Cam was in it, and
yeah.
yeah, and my buddy Jim too, Jim
Hmm.
McKeon. And it was a
And
great show.
yeah,
And Nappy, amazing,
yeah.
amazing, amazing. But
I learned so much
oh,
about shadow puppets from Nappy that week, in that
me too.
his designs seem intricate, but they're so simple to use. And
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen like puppets built like that, like shadow puppets built so well.
Yes.
Yeah.
He gave the class the next year, 2020, and he was
Really?
yeah, yeah, but it was virtual.
Oh yeah. Nappy
There
did
was
a
only
class.
like a certain number of people could only be in it because it's difficult for a teacher to manage it. But
And it's so
yeah,
funny. It's so funny that my piece was shadows, but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but Bart did the teaching for that.
Now that was your first year,
Yeah. That was
2020,
my
right?
first year. Yeah, that was my first year.
Yeah, and it was virtual. So,
It
I
was.
was beginning to say, but that whole virtual and COVID thing, we all know it's kind of the same old story, but how it forced us all to be different and learn differently and try things differently. And for the O'Neill, I was very impressed at their ability to pull it off. And then they did it a second year in a
Hmm.
row. The second year I did Marty and Tim's class, which to me was in a way it was quite a blessing because I feel comfortable in my home studio. I have a
Hmm.
two-car garage,
Hmm.
and which you've seen. It's like
I
this,
have seen it.
and,
Hmm.
and I was able to like prep all my stuff. This was hysterical, by
Hmm.
actually the story. So I was doing Eddie the Earthworm. His little story about the
Yeah,
worm.
yeah. Hmm.
His whole floods out, and he loses his family, and he's in his umbrella floating away.
Hmm.
And we did the whole class, and we hadn't picked really what story we're going to do. You present some storyboards, and then they say, well, which do you want to do? What do you think? I like this one. They'd give you feedback. Tim and Marty were great, and also the class would jump in too and say,
Hmm.
um, yeah, similar people were in it. Stoff was in it. SB was in it. But it was a great class, and I knew I wanted to do Eddie the Earthworm because I was prepared knowing the week. We only have a week for this. So I had built stuff and I had behind me a velvet curtain. And I couldn't wait to share it with everyone. And they said, which one do you want to do? And I was like, I kind of want to do Eddie the Earthworm because I already did a lot of work on it. And I think it's fine. They're like, great, you got to do what you want to do. And then I reached back and I pulled no, the rope was here in front of me,
Yeah.
I think. I
Hmm.
pulled the curtain and the curtain opens up, and there was my first little set scene with Eddie the Earthworm's little hole, the ground with the grass, and down below a little hole, and a drop and back. And I
Hmm.
was proud of it. But then when we started to say, well, we're going to record this, and all the technology to me gets in the way a lot because I'm not good with
Hmm.
technology. I actually, as a designer, it's rare, but I still have the opportunity to draw with a pencil. Like we still draw by hand,
Hmm.
but most people are on the computer. So that was a big learning curve for me. But when we got through that, I started to have to record scenes, and I realized how how the hell am I going to do this? I'm only one person. I ended up with a puppet on my hand trying to open the curtain, then run behind the thing and put the worm up and do the worm. And after a while, I said, you guys, what do I do? They said, well, this is the challenge with the first virtual O'Neill. Usually we help each other and we make
Yeah.
little teams and say, when Joe's going to shoot tomorrow in the morning, who wants to help him with his scene? And then you go help each other. And when it was virtual, boy, it was hard to do. I actually called Nappy because he's close too. I said,
Yeah.
I hate to bother you. I know we don't know you don't know me that well, but do you think you can come like for a few hours one day and help me record? I need extra puppet hands. I can't put a sock puppet on and then take it off, put another thing, and I need to move an umbrella. And you realize the intricacies of
Yeah.
teamwork as a
Mm-hmm.
puppeteer. I like to do things alone, and as a puppeteer you learn just being in the band with the dogs, like it is a collaborative work, and
It is.
most puppets have multiple operators, and I did not know that. I just
Mm-hmm.
assumed it was one man thing, and there you can do one man with the
You
rod
can
puppet,
do one, man.
you
Yeah,
know
you could do it.
but you get more with more, and it's a breathing and communicating thing.
Mm-hmm.
Another great experience from this O'Neill was with, you know, we did a piece called Parched, and it was a resident emerging artist, and I was in
Mm-hmm.
the company.
Mm-hmm.
Very new to me, but I was like, might as well try this, right? So
Mm-hmm.
in the resident company, um, you get assigned, and it was Andy and Dorothy, and they did this piece Parched, and it was wonderful. But we had to. There was only three of us in the company, and then the two of them, and they had a friend join us later. And it was all about creating this horse out of elements, so we
Mm-hmm.
had to all be the horse and the rider and the so I had the torso and Aaron had the head, and the rest of the team, we all had various parts, and we had to create this one image, and that was very new to me and
Mm-hmm.
interesting, because it really did, you start to breathe together quite literally, in terms of trying to take your breaths together and feel so that you're in the same rhythm, because it's basically like a galloping horse at the
Uh-huh.
beginning. And it was wonderful. But this is the world of puppetry, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of breathing life into something that really has no life to. Well, I shouldn't say that, but you are breathing into it, the life, and when you have to do it with others, you kind of have to be together.
Mm-hmm.
So
You have to be in sync with everyone because that's how you fool the audience into thinking this inanimate thing is alive.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
true.
And that's the whole gist of puppetry, right? We take something that isn't alive and we make it alive.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So it's
I
quite
was
a journey for me. I'm excited by
I was
it.
gonna ask how was your experience with Alice and his strand? I saw you guys
Oh,
did,
Alice.
yeah,
First of
yeah,
all, I love Alice. She's
yeah.
amazing, amazing.
Hmm.
Um, the first one I took we covered 3D printing and servo programming, and kind of like the art of robot animating a robot, and she didn't like to use the term robot, which I respect and appreciate after the
Hmm.
class, and
Hmm.
understanding that we all consider it a robot. We made a little car and
Hmm.
programmed it to move, but her work in this area is she's got her own little company and doing like exploratory type of work to bridge the gap between like the marionette um, and the robotic kind of assisted mechanical pieces.
Hmm.
And she has this wonderful piece she shared with us with her marionette, and it's sitting on top of a mechanized set of wheels with it's really got like these 4 feet that
Hmm.
move around, and she's up there with her hand manipulated marionette, and it's just an amazing hybrid, if you will, of
Hmm.
marionette hand
Hmm.
operated and the mechanic, and it brings its life all to itself. And I think that was what she's exploring, is how do we breathe into the robot, or understand that the robot also has life. It's not so much, it has personality.
Yep.
And I think that's what we studied the most. She ran it very fun. It was like we were all doctors, and she was like, this is the exploratory lab, and you guys are all creating these things. to explore and watch and see. The first assignment was amazing. We got these little motors and the power to battery pack to go with them. And we brought in a bunch of bags of junk, like leftover containers from chips and makeup and whatever we had. And we hot glued them all together with, little ropes and strings and piece of balsa wood, and a feather was on one. And everyone created their own. And then you turn it on, and, it takes on a life by just this vibrating from the
Mm-hmm.
motor. They would bounce around and they'd bump into each other and kind of talk to each other. And that was kind of the first experiment. And it was quite interesting, basically. And then the 3D printing and how to accommodate and make something specific to your parts, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the technical stuff. It was a big leap for me. It was very hard because I'm not, again, a tech savvy person, and the computer work was hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I understand it's a powerful tool, and
It
I
is.
would like to, continue with it. I actually got a 3D printer from a friend. He was getting rid of it. His son needed it for school. And Alice said, if anyone has a 3D printer, bring it. I thought, I don't even know how to turn this thing on. I'll bring it. And she showed me how to, get it up and running.
Mm-hmm.
So um, it was good to, I would probably never turn the thing on had she not showed me how to work it. So hopefully I can explore a little more of
Mm-hmm.
that.
And the thing about 3D printing is that you could build like really cool mechs, because then now you could design the piece to be exactly what you want it to be. Think
Well,
about,
that's the excitement to me, because
yeah,
when I'm working small, I'm pretty handy with tools and I
yeah,
love to build. But when you're working small, boy, it's tough to get little stuff in the saw, and I
yep.
find it quite dangerous. And I'm
And then
pretty
these
good
the
at it.
sausage
So
fingers that we have.
yes, so
Yeah.
far I have them all. But right, are you like most? Well, so far I have
Oh
most of them.
no.
But no, but um, so yes, the 3D printing is a powerful tool, and I would like to embrace it more, but it
Yeah.
is a longer learning curve for me. But if you're going to reproduce like Jim does, has a lot of mechanisms that he has, triggers and stuff that he uses a lot of. Um, I think he still feels strongly about producing them by hand. But
Yeah.
um,
No,
if
you
you need
can't change
a
that
lot,
guy's
you can
mind,
just print 10. Well, the piece we
No.
did for Alice, the
Yeah.
piece I printed took 6 hours to print,
Yeah.
so.
And it probably won't take him that long to make that.
And I know, yes, it wouldn't
Yeah.
take me that long to build it by hand. And then
Yeah.
when it comes out a little bit wrong, like my first one, I just took the Dremel to it and fixed it. But I felt like what's the point? But the truth is, like any tool, if you can command it and work it well, it becomes an asset,
Yep.
you know. Um, so embracing a little of that is important. But I don't know.
So so Joe, I usually ask some structured questions while we're on the show because we're having a crazy good talk here.
Oh
So
boy.
first
Okay.
things first, right? I want to ask, tell me about that cat on the wall. Is that a cat on the wall
Oh, on the
behind you?
wall, I will tell you about that. That's not a cat. It's actually a devil puppet. Can you
Oh,
not see it? It's a Punch and Judy style devil puppet. It's actually
uh-huh.
a Bill Baird puppet.
Oh,
It was given to me by my dear friend Bob Flanagan. Um,
okay.
and I don't have a lot of history to it, but most of the kind of puppet world people know there was a period, I want to say 86 or somewhere in the 80s, when he had passed away,
Uh-huh.
and his puppets were all up for auction.
Oh.
Uh, and Bob Flanagan went to the auction, as a lot of the puppeteers did, with not a ton of money.
Hmm.
And this was the only puppet he was able to purchase.
Uh-huh.
And I can't find much history on it, but I can, if you want, I can move this closer. Do you want to see it closer?
Why not? Let's look at it closer if you
It
can.
might get a little shaky,
That's
but let's
okay. I
see if
like
I
the show and tell.
or I can take it. But it is a beautiful puppet and something I
It
have great
is.
affection for.
Was that
Um,
there when I visited?
and you even see it. I put it in a case. The
Yeah.
light went dark, right?
It's a little dog. Oh, now I see it's a devil. It looked like a cat from where I was seeing it. Oh,
Does
it's
this
pretty
help?
cool. Yeah, it does. That's pretty cool.
So
Was
it's a
that there?
beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful puppet, and it caught my eye. We were going through Bob's storage,
Uh-huh.
and of course, a lot of the Saturday Night Live puppets that were being disposed of and had to be, um, consolidated, because Bob couldn't really afford to pay for the space much longer. Sad situation. He's suffering from a lot from neuropathy, But let me see if I can grab this book quick because most of you know or have heard of it. But it's such a trademark, those eyes. It's on the cover of this, book that all of you should have as
Yeah,
puppeteers. But this is the book that Bob told me, if you want to start, this book you start with. But you can see these very identifiable
yeah.
features.
Uh-huh.
So when he took that out, I said, "Oh my God, what's that?" And he said, "That's a Bill Baird puppet. Would you like it?" And I said, "Are you kidding me?" He said, "No, would you like it?" I said,
Yeah.
"I would love it." And he said, "Well, that's kind of that's kind of the idea with the Bill Baird puppets are that you're not, I don't know if it's true, but he said, you're not supposed to sell them, but if you ever get to the point where it's that you want to pass it along, it's the hope was that you would pass them on to people because they are of great value. But to
They
me,
are.
it's a special piece. It actually still had a needle in it with some thread. I don't know if it was original or maybe Bob was using it to fix and repair, but that's got to be what, 60s, 50s, 60s, I think,
Yeah.
and it's an old piece, but
But it's there. It's all there.
yeah,
They had a really cool
that's a special
display
piece.
at the O'Neill with some puppets with some marionettes, right? This year they had a really cool display at was it at the White House?
Yeah, they did over at
Yeah.
the White House. They had some really beautiful puppets. I took a bunch of pictures. I'll share them with you.
Yeah.
But yes, those puppets were gorgeous. All, wood carved, I believe, most of them. This head, I think, is a cast head, but
Yeah.
it still has those features. I think that's what he would do is cast them. Uh,
Hmm.
but yes, so that's a little cherished piece to me. You know, but
Hmm.
I don't know.
Okay, so let's go back into the Q&A section. Let's
Okay,
see. Let's see what I could pull out of the hat again. Okay, so I normally
see
ask
what I have to offer.
I normally ask what would you do if you didn't become a puppeteer, but for you and I, we're just becoming puppeteers, so I can't ask that
Right.
question.
You can, I guess.
Well, I can ask.
I
Um,
would be I would be still designing sets forever at SNL, which could
yeah,
be forever.
which
So in
could
a
be,
way,
yeah.
it is even though it's new to me and a new path.
Hmm.
I feel like I should have headed that direction in the beginning, maybe. But we learn
It's
and
never too
evolve as
late.
people, right? So
Yeah.
in a way, at first I had a great deal of reservation about emerging into this kind of. That's why my application sat for 4 years.
Hmm.
Here's a man in his 50s starting to be a puppeteer. That's,
Hey,
nothing wrong with it, I
nothing
guess. I
wrong with it
encourage others, but
because
you feel like behind. There's a
yeah,
lot of young
yeah,
kids there just
yeah.
starting, very eager to learn about it. And to me, I have a luxury of some experience in other areas that I
Hmm.
hope form that. I think that's why that Lion King piece that we talked about that people don't know necessarily, but I took this box as a suitcase and opens up and it's really a little set all production
Yep,
inside of it.
yep,
And that's why I lean towards my strength and say, yeah, the performance was fun and interesting, but to me, it was about the technical aspect of
yeah.
fitting all the stuff in the box. And still, it's not I wouldn't call it 100% success, but it's the beginning of something I'd like to develop and get better at. So I had to supplement this little production that I open up and do basically the circle of life out of. Um, I had to put pieces in it that just didn't fit in the box. But if I were to build it again, which I could, I would try to fit everything in. And I learned that, they're prototypes. The next step is I'm going to try to tackle a new one.
Hmm. Hmm.
So if I do the next one, then maybe I'll get better and better at it.
Because
You
I was
know,
thinking like it, you could wrap so many things into those. So I was looking at it and I was thinking like, there are a lot of like a lot of birds and stuff in that piece, in the Lion King piece. And I was thinking, imagine if Joe could like, while doing all that, you find a way to release something that would like spring birds up in the air that are on like poles that are wobbly. Like
yeah, I
it
had
just
multiple bird ideas actually because there's a lot of
like
birds
it
in it.
just gets
And
bigger
I
and
don't know,
bigger.
did you see when I threw the white stuff in the air?
I saw, yeah, yeah.
They were supposed to be my birds, but I had
Oh,
like three bird ideas
uh,
and none of them seemed to be working right for me. But my original one, which I could go back to and never got to, was to build a small hat that had a mechanism behind it.
I was
That was
thinking that,
my
yeah.
hope, so I could release it at some point in the show, and it would become a mobile around my head, so I could just do this. That was the original always because I thought it would be a little
I think
campy funny little button that people don't see coming, I was
I
hoping.
think that's a good idea because
But I never
that's
got to that
that's what
point.
Ava tried to do when she did her piece. Because remember, I had the fish, right? I had the
Yes.
fish that I had to stick in my back, and that
Yes.
fish was there, just there doing his thing,
Sure.
and yeah, and
Yeah, so we use
yeah,
whatever. I mean, that's why the self-contained is nice. That's why the
yeah,
hat was a good
yeah,
idea. But I had moved to there's a bamboo stick on one side,
yeah,
there's an armature on it of
uh-huh,
wire, and I would
yeah,
set all the birds, and they looked more like birds. And then I took a little card, and the birds would come off, and they fluttered like it was quite an accidental uh, um, realization, but they fluttered really nice, like when a
yeah.
helicopter falls from a
They did,
tree.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
thought, this is like the birds scattering. This is perfect. It was the most abstract of all the pieces
yeah.
in my piece.
But it
Um,
worked.
which, yeah, but I never. I did it a few times, and there was issues with it just takes too long to set them all up there gently so they could
Yeah,
show off. You can't preset them because they might
no,
fall, and it took too long in the piece, in my opinion, to do. So when I finally resolved, and time's coming, time to do the performances tomorrow, then I realized, why don't I just put a bunch of flat pieces of white board
hmm
in my pocket there. I folded them like a bird. I could cut them better next time, and I just threw them up. I think maybe people didn't know what it was, but this
I
is
think
part of the
I think
process.
for the whole thing, it like because you know that scene, everybody knows the scene. So by the time you roll that sun up, we're already there. We're there. We're in it, and it's it's just an amazing thing. I wonder, could I edit that video into the end of this?
Sure,
Yeah,
absolutely,
it's good,
yeah, it's
so that
great.
the audience could see it because I think they
Yeah,
deserve to see it because it's
of
nuts.
course.
Yeah,
I'd love to share that. It's the
so
music is
yeah,
the music was almost my safety because I realized, it's copyrighted music.
yeah,
But
I think
but
for
you're allowed to do
yeah,
it in this
yeah,
way,
yeah,
I
yeah,
suppose. But the
yeah.
point is, everyone said to me, what made you do this? Why did why did you choose this and all?" And I just basically said the things that you're repeating. But first of all, it's very iconic. It's been presented in theater and Broadway. It's been presented in film and animation. And I think a lot of the community knows what this
Knows it,
is
yeah, yeah,
by the iconography, the imagery that is used in both pieces.
yeah.
It also provided me with pre-made story structure. It was
Correct.
there. So these are the aspects that might not be my strength. So why not borrow it, which I did. Then I already have the structure for what it is. It's all these people, all these animals coming, a wonderful choice of, menagerie of animals that come together to celebrate the birth of the new Lion King.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all in there. And all I had to do was the mechanical part.
Yeah.
So in a way, that was why I chose it. I'm excited about the next one because I think it's going to be an original. I was just talking to Will about it, and I want to do maybe a circus type one, so it's all original.
Like a flea
Um,
circus or
well,
like
the
a
flea
people
circus is
circus.
great. That's good, but yeah, I think it would be more like a real circus, but in miniature. But the
Yeah,
assembly tent maybe, and there's so many wonderful things about a
yeah.
circus that people know: the tightrope walking,
Tightrope
maybe
walking,
three rings.
trapeze.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's so many things to do with it. So the lion and the head and the mouth and there can be fun. There can be exciting. There's clowns that are silly, all coming out of a car. And these are things I can figure out mechanically too and make fun. You can have 50 clowns come out of a car with just repeating. That
Yeah.
was how the antelope piece was. I
Yeah.
had the antelopes on a little round disc that just rolled down,
Yep.
show them all jumping, and you know, so you just take an idea and just run with it.
But
That's
the
what I did.
wow factor of that is high on I think everybody, like I heard like everybody's reaction to that at the pub show. I was like, wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it got really
Yeah.
surprisingly
Yeah.
to me a
Yeah.
wonderful reaction. There was a lot of oohs and ahs, and I realized that like
It was amazing.
it was fun. It was.
Yeah.
Fun. I'm glad it was so well
Yeah, yeah,
received.
yeah. And it kind of reminded me of the things that Ava would do. Like I always say, like one of the persons that stood out to me at the O'Neill last year was Ava. Ava is
Oh yeah,
relentless in the things that she does when she's performing. Like
yeah,
she
she's
thinks
great.
about these things, and she has these self-contained shows too. Because she and I
Yeah,
took the train to the O'Neill and back. So I met her on the train coming to the O'Neill, and she had so much luggage. Like
Yes.
she had so much luggage. Like there was her and I and a couple other people. And I was like, this lady must have such interesting things happening because she had like the two um diving helmets that we were wearing for her piece.
Oh yeah.
She had those
Yeah.
two in her hand and she had like three suitcases walking and she had tools and stuff. And then when you see what she's doing and you understand like how much she's into it and she likes doing what
Sure.
she does. Yeah, it's like I I hope that I can find a way to be that relentless, or that driven to do. I'm gonna do the piece and I'm gonna do it the way I want to do it. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and she does that. And
Yes, she does.
I wish I could be that brave. She's
You
really,
can.
yeah, I hope I
You
can.
can. But
I'm
we're all
gonna,
that way, right?
yeah,
I think, when you build confidence, when you do something and it's successful, and
yeah,
that Lion King, I never thought would, I was actually terrified to perform it. And I brought it out into the first day, I brought it out into the little lobby room in the rooms there where you stay. There's a
yeah, yeah.
little community.
Uh-huh.
And I brought it out and I kind of hid it for a while. And like the second day, I was talking to John Cody
He was
and
there.
Ellis. Yes,
Oh,
he was there. Uh, yes, and they came down to and they were just walking on campus.
uh-huh.
And I said, "Can you guys do me a favor?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, what?" Everyone's so open there. I said,
Mm,
"Will you watch something for me? I don't know if I can perform it. I don't know. I really had no idea how it's going to be received." And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, sure." And Ellis and John sat down, and I said, "All right, let's try. Just hit play." I had brought the little player
yeah,
out to the lobby and said, "Just hit play." And the Circle of Life played, and I just did the piece. And Ellis, actually, they were both very good, but Ellis was giddy with delight. I'll never forget. He was like, "Oh my god, oh my!" And then the ants come out, and each item that came out, and he showed such enthusiasm that I thought, okay, this is work. It's going to work. But I didn't think it would at first. And
no.
they were just so like, "Oh, I love it, I love it, I love it," and it was really helped me put it on its feet because I didn't know how it would be received. And I think we always do this, right? I had faith in it, but I just didn't know if it would be well received. And it was.
But that's
So
the
you
glory
never
about
know.
the O'Neill, it's an environment where, you could go and you could make that mistake, and nobody's gonna say, hey, Joe did this and it was bad. Nobody's gonna
That's,
say that because Jean
that's
Marie's
true.
gonna throw you out.
That's true. But you still can see I still felt as safe as I felt, which
Yeah.
I did with that crowd. It was a confidence thing for
No, and I
me.
get that, and I get that.
And I think a lot of people struggle with the confidence of it.
Last
Some
year,
people don't, and I love them. God bless them.
yeah,
I can say to like
I think,
Staff to me, we had
mhm,
a long, wonderful talk, but I said to her, Staff, you're so brave. I admire you for your bravery. And she's like, "Oh, come on!" But I'm telling you, she
yeah,
gets up and gives it her all, no matter
yeah,
what. The work is so good that I just can't. When I heard from her at the end of the O'Neill, and she sent me a wonderful letter recently too, and I thought like she was very encouraging and said, you did a really wonderful job, and to hear it from someone that I feel is that brave and that,
hmm,
can't help but say, okay, maybe there's something to
yeah,
it. Maybe I'm on to it. Um, but she basically said too, like all performers do that. You can't
yeah,
help constantly question, even when you have the utmost confidence in your
hmm,
piece internally, you question it because how else will you grow?
yeah.
And that was just enlightening and that was wonderful to hear. Others too were very, 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 receptive to me and encouraging because I do not have a strong confidence in the performing part.
I
But,
think everybody tries to encourage you to do a pub show at least once. And one person who tried to help me all the way was Plato actually. Because Plato is
oh
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, he like we wrote some stuff in the writing strand last year, and he's like, you should do that at the pub. He's like, I'll help you. I'll help you. I'll be with there.
Yes.
And even though like somebody was gonna be, it was too much like for me being my first year, that was too much pressure. Like I get the
So
feeling that
have you done a
yeah,
pub piece yet
never.
or a participant piece?
I've never done a pub piece
Either.
or a participant
Oh
piece.
boy,
Yeah,
next year. So listen, I'm going to hold you to it because people held me to it, and
yeah.
I think that's important for you to challenge yourself to do this. I still left thinking, but I did it, and you know what? I had to. You have to. It's the
Yeah.
next step. I mean, I
And
think.
there's a difference in what happens after the O'Neill because that's what Tyler told me. He's like, hey, you have at disadvantage because you're not here all the time. He said, you want to get noticed, you perform at the pub. You know
Yeah, he's right.
that's yeah, and you performed at the pub, right? And
I
look
did. I
it
did.
and it and look how look how far, look how many connections you've made since that.
Yeah, there was a
Yeah,
wonderful response from a bunch
yeah,
of people. And yes, I was reserved. I loved help. I love to help people, and I
yeah.
love to help see their work through
Hmm.
and try to
Hmm.
help solve their problems. And
Hmm.
that's what I've been doing for so many years as a designer.
Yeah,
So when you do it in a puppet environment, to me, that brought me great fulfillment. But
yeah.
you're right, the recognition doesn't come till you jump in and
Until
do it.
you, yeah, you get in there and
Yeah.
and that's what the pub show is for, I think. It's to
Oh,
get in there.
sure,
Yeah. But
sure. I
I think
really part of the push was I felt like I was waitlisted this year, which is fine. A lot of
hmm
people were,
hmm
but I realized in a way, like, well, because I haven't really put myself
yeah,
out there
you
yet.
haven't, yeah.
This is my chance. And then when I got in and I was excited about that, I realized this is it. You better step up because it's
Yeah,
time to, show your colors.
yeah,
And for people, it's hard. They talk and joke at the conference this year a lot about being a turtle. Everybody's a turtle. We want
yeah,
to be shell and
yeah,
protected and safe. But there's no way to grow unless you really get out there and
yeah.
do it.
Jean Marie says leave the shell at the door.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. She always says that. Put that shell at the door.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's right. She's
And if you
right.
pick up the wrong shell when you're leaving, it's fine.
It is. It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. There's no place like the O'Neill, and I
No,
guess
there's not. Not.
um, it is that safe environment that I feel most at home.
I don't know if you noticed, but last year I didn't stay a lot at the pub. Like I would slip out when nobody noticed because it was so intimidating to me. Like I would my first pub night, I think Kira did a piece, and that was the piece with an opossum puppet.
Yeah,
She was
yeah.
crazy loud with this thing,
Yeah.
and I was like, wow, this is how intense this is.
Yes, I
But
had
when you
plenty of moments.
yeah
Even this year, I skipped the pub a few nights in a row.
yeah
You do have to care for yourself. It's
mm-hmm,
really important to have keep your kind of strength for the whole run. I mean, it's kind of like a pacing thing, and everyone's different. But there is one thing and I encourage them every year and at least mention and say, it'd be so wonderful to have some kind of a video, so maybe not recorded, but so you can watch it and participate
yeah
if you're exhausted. I just found some nights I just couldn't make it through.
yeah it's because it's a tough day and then it's a late night.
Yeah, and it's intense, and the night never wants to end. You just
Yeah,
want to stay. But I found it necessary to sneak off like you did a
yeah,
bunch of times, and I can't regret it because I was well rested the next day and
yeah,
all. But there are so many moments to capture.
yeah.
FOMO, right? They call it. You get
It
this
is FOMO
missing out on something that
for
you.
me because I was at the because I was at Mitchell. I had to leave when the last bus was leaving, so I would just
Yes.
have to leave. Yeah,
Same, and I always
yeah,
try to reach out to people because if I have a vehicle and
yeah,
I'm local, and I
yeah,
say, don't leave if you really need to stay. I'll drive you home because
yeah,
I don't drink. But
yeah,
some people, if they're drinking and all, it's just not safe. But
yeah.
God, it's like they should have another little network of That's another good idea. Maybe I'll put it in this year to tell them. If
Because I
people have
remember.
a car and are willing and don't drink and willing to drive, will you
Yeah.
do a late night shuttle for
Hmm.
people?
Hmm.
Sure. Because I had no a problem. It's so close. I would have
Yeah,
driven
it's right
any
there.
night.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
So
And
um,
we had fun like the nights that I did stay off a little later than
yeah, yes,
yeah,
of
we had some
course.
fun. But it's like
I wish
for me
everyone could be
yeah,
on campus, but I guess it's just a product of the
I
size.
chose I think I chose off campus last year. But what Julie and Lucy was telling me is that um that's rite of passage. It's your first year, you stay off campus.
Yes.
Yeah. You stay off
Yeah.
campus, but I think it's with reason because if you're not accustomed to that type of living, like that shared
Yeah, you'll
space,
burn out, right?
yeah, they give you room, and that was good. It was good for me to just have my own space. When I
Oh,
get there,
good.
I could, yeah, because you're just accustomed to having that space of your own. But
Right.
now I think I'm good, I'm good with that shared space now and how it works and stuff. So hopefully the next time around I could be staying on campus so I don't have to jump on that shuttle.
Yeah. And
Maybe
if you
next year.
do, then I'll give you a ride at
Yeah,
any.
you will give me a ride. Yeah.
I would.
I mean, everybody offered their couch. Is like, you could crash on the couch tonight. You don't have to go home.
Yes, true.
You know, you could just
But
stay
there's a
there.
comfort level. You need to
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
do your
yeah,
thing, take your shower, do what you got to do.
yeah,
But yes, some people have no problem living that way.
yeah,
I feel the comfort of, my space is
yeah. You
important.
need that space.
I ran back to my room a lot this year.
Yeah, because during the days when everybody could just run back into their room after lunch or something, I'd just be in the barn
It's
because
nice. You
yeah,
didn't,
I'm
yeah,
not
you
going
didn't have
anywhere.
that.
Yeah,
But sometimes people even would go back and just close their eyes for
yeah,
15, 20 minutes on their bed. But it's harder to do in a community space. So,
yeah. Because like Jim would ask me, he's like, well, Krupa, he would ask, he's like, why are you still here? He's like, you can go outside, because I'd just be in the barn sometimes
right.
between classes. I'd be in the barn, and
Yeah.
like somebody he just like he'd see me lying on the floor. He's like, you can go outside or you could go back to your room. I was like, I'm off campus. It doesn't make sense. But he
Right.
didn't realize I was having many anxiety attacks there. I was
Sure.
just lying on the floor. He's like, hey, and
Yeah.
then
Sometimes
and
that's
then
all
Jean
you
Marie
can do.
Jean Marie would come in and she's like, what's up? She's like, why are you on the floor? And I tell her, and she's like, hey, you don't have to do a participant piece if it's doing this to you. I was like, oh, there's a relief. And she's like, and I got up and she's like, and there you are. You're better now. She's like,
See?
it's okay. Yeah.
They
I
do
built,
stress that, but we put that pressure on ourselves for a reason,
yeah.
And maybe next year will be right for you, but maybe next year won't be right when you get close to it, and you don't have to, But
I just wasn't
I
prepared.
was glad that I was pushed, and I also am the type of person that's a little, OCD in a way, or
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. But I came with that piece 90% done. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't feel as confident or comfortable in building a piece from scratch out of
And that's
cardboard.
what it was. And that's what it was. Like I felt like this was not my best work. This is not what I want to show to people. And that's
And
why I
again,
think,
look at what I
yeah,
suffered. I
yeah,
came close to not even being a part of it this year
yeah,
because I didn't risk, as they always say. I
yeah.
didn't risk early on. But and I tell people like yourself and people like um, Andrew, who's here, comes from California and stuff, and he makes something every year. He makes so much stuff, and I said
Mhm.
to him, like, if you know what you want for the conference next year, even if I'm not there for some reason, I'm an hour away. You're coming from Trinidad. Like,
Yeah.
let me know. I'll make you something, or I'll at least have parts made so you don't have to
Yeah.
travel with all
Hmm.
that. That is really a luxury that I find that it was so close. The
Yeah.
first year I attended, I was terrified. I am not the type of person that can go to some community thing and stay there with people I don't know. I
Hmm.
was terrified, but I knew I'm an hour away.
Yeah.
And I really said to myself, listen, if it gets that bad with the anxiety or with what, I can just tell them I have something important at home. I need to leave, and I became very comfortable right away, of course. But I know people like yourself coming from a long distance, you have so much crap to bring and say, just tell me. I even tempted to bring more materials. I literally this year, I was almost embarrassed, but my sister and my nephew,
Uh-huh.
I called them a couple of days before and they said, "What's the matter?" I said, "I need help." And they said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Listen, I'm going to the conference in a few days." I said, "Yeah, yeah, I know, but don't you go up and drive?" I said, "Yeah, but I have this box and I just can't fit everything into my one car." They said, "So what do you want?" I said, "Would you be willing to drive up an extra car up with me so I have?" And they're like, "Yeah." So my nephew and my sister and me, the three of us headed up to the conference this year. They dropped my extra car. My truck was full because that Circle of Life box, and there was a residual piece that's a
Hmm.
big ants. It's like a
Hmm.
big 6 foot piece.
Yeah.
I wanted those with me, and they followed me up, jumped back in their car, and drove back. And then I said, at the end, you got to help me out too. And they did. I left the key hiding, sitting on the windshield. And I said, anytime the car's ready, I packed it like a day early with the
Yeah.
stuff I didn't need. But there's nothing worse than that feeling for me that I don't have the tool, the materials, or the stuff to do what I want to do. To just going to Target during the conference, it's too
Hmm.
much.
Yeah.
Not that you
And
can't do it, but it puts you behind a whole day. It's short, it's
yeah,
quick.
it
So
is. It is.
the
And
more
I
the better. That's
and
why
I
I
think
was,
that's my thing. Like I need like if I'm gonna do that, I need to prepare myself. I need to
yeah,
prepare that piece. I need to have that piece ready.
yeah, even if it's the idea. But that's
Yeah.
me, that's you. Some people
Yeah.
are very good and they can throw those shows together. I
Yeah.
think I think like Ellis and Stoff and
Yeah,
those people were
they were
they had
building
tremendous
there.
stuff and they created
Yeah,
stuff left and right for every night they were up on that stage,
and
man.
doing different things, and it was just like Ellis and and his socks. He took a pair of socks, and he
Yeah,
while we were eating breakfast, he was
yeah,
building
he's
this
good.
thing,
Yeah,
and
he's great.
I
He
didn't
has
think
stuff
about
every
it.
night.
Yeah, and he
Very
has
talented.
something and there were people who were there every night. You know, you'd see Stoff, you'd see Ellis, you'd see
Yeah,
Mo,
yeah.
and that's how it went. You know, you know the people who would
Yeah,
perform
Kira
all the
did a
time.
lot this
And
year
Oh yeah,
too.
and Kira's always there too doing stuff.
Well, everybody too. There's a lot of the others, you know. Um, but yes, so good for them. They all have
Yeah,
pieces. But I always feel too like once I do it once, I want to try something
something
different.
new. Yeah, something different.
So I don't know if it's a rule or what. Actually, it's not a rule, but
No, it's not.
I feel like if I did it once, it's good. I was hesitant to do Lion King as a participant piece because I did it at the pub pre-conference.
But
But
it's
several
good.
people said, just so what? Do it better, do it different, do it.
Yeah,
And some pre-conference people left, and some main conference people came for the first time and had
and they
not
saw it
seen
for the first time. Yeah,
it. So that was fine. But repeat performance. I find it funny that people ask me to do it at slams and stuff. I never thought I actually didn't think this piece would ever be done again after the
and that's
conference.
the thing. If it's a strong piece, and as strong as that piece is, people are gonna ask you to do it at slam.
Yeah, well,
And you should join the Puppet Slam Network. They're
I
very
should.
supportive.
I
They're
can't
very
afford it.
supportive. No, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's free.
Oh, there you go. I was waiting for that.
Now,
That's why people tell me. That's what people always, they say to me like, you should sign, you should sign on to this or that app. And I said, you need that app. I said, I can't afford it. They're free. The apps are free. Oh, all right.
but I think I think but the Puppet
Yes,
Slam
it's a new
Network,
community to
yeah,
me, the
it's a
whole thing.
community.
So
Yeah, yeah,
I think I'm due for at least
yeah.
to participate and
At
go and
least
see some of
one.
them. I have yet to go to
You
one.
don't have to join them all. You don't have
Right.
to.
But I've
But
been wanting to go up to Boston too, because that's where John Little, who I adore,
yeah,
John
yeah.
is amazing, and Sarah.
Uh-huh.
Uh, yes, they do the slams up there in Boston. And
Yeah.
after my first year, they were like, "You should come see a slam," and I said, "Great." And then COVID hit, and everything closed down.
I think you should do
But I'd
that.
like to
You
see their
should
work.
go. You
I
should.
think they're back
Yeah,
at it. I actually
yeah.
have to ask him. I'm not sure, but I think they're starting
Well,
them up again
that's
less
what
frequently.
the Puppet Slam Network does. It kind of focuses everything into slam. Um, and if you're not on social media, on their website, there's a calendar, so you can see a calendar of events with
Well, that's good to
slams all
know.
around.
I
And
am.
that's just who's affiliated with them. There's so much outside of that. I know in August is the Puppeteers of America Festival, and that's a pretty cool festival. If you
That's the one down in Maryland.
Yeah, and they have a virtual situation
I
now. So
thought
like,
it was in July. Is it in August?
is it in July or is it August? I should know
I don't
this.
know. We'll have to look that up. You could post it here. We're going to post
Yeah,
it.
it's gonna be somewhere here.
Yeah. But
It's yeah,
there you go. There it is. Good
yeah.
job. But yes. So several people too told me at the conference, "Are you going?" And yeah, I don't know. I didn't really make plans to go.
I'd
But
like to
again,
go.
it's like the unknown.
Yeah,
The first O'Neill was challenging, but maybe you immerse yourself into this community.
yeah.
And I think Kurt's doing a piece there. There's a couple pieces there. I think Marty has a piece going up with
Yeah,
his
yeah.
wife's piece.
It's a lot bigger than the O'Neill. Like Puppeteers of
Yes.
America stuff is a lot bigger. And then there's the
But I
Chicago
clarify
Festival. Yeah,
too.
yeah,
I think people should know this, and you can clarify if I'm wrong. But it's a festival versus the conference, and they always kind of
yeah,
make a distinction, which I didn't understand at first. But
yeah,
yes, the conference is really a place of development and a place of new works and a place of free kind of
yeah.
association with new kind of loose ideas.
Hmm.
And the festivals are shows that are
Yeah.
basically developed, or you can go watch, or workshops you can
Oh, they have
participate.
workshops. Yeah, correct, correct.
So
And
I've yet to go to one,
yeah,
but the
I know
Maryland is tempting.
the Chicago Festival is in July. Yeah.
Ah,
And they have like that's it's a little more like the O'Neill. It's a little more like that. Like it's not as big as the Puppeteers of America, but they
right,
have like a lot of like workshops and stuff and strands that they do. Similar,
sure.
not the same. similar, not the same. But
Yes.
slam
Well, that's the
culture is
thing.
something,
Once you
yeah.
become a part of the community, right?
Yeah.
I guess you get out, you tune yourself into these things, and if you can participate, sometimes life gets in the way. I often sympathize and wonder how, because I have quite a luxury of my schedule. My summer
Hmm.
months are off because production for SNL is September to May. I always tell
Hmm.
people it's like a school year, but I am
Yeah.
always off July, August,
Hmm.
and I never have to worry about that month being in the way. But some people get a job and they need to take it, or like
Hmm.
yourself, couldn't attend this year because work does not have the room for it. And look, let's all be honest. A lot of puppeteers just cannot be full-time puppeteers for the
No.
same reason we discussed, that it's difficult to bring in a full salary enough to survive. So
Or
for those
even
that are
or
doing
even
it,
balance things
great.
like to go to to a conference or a festival, you have to, like, for me, I have to fly there.
Yes.
It's a far cry.
Yes, you have to
Yeah.
pay
Yeah.
for this one, right? You got to get a room there, and you pay
Yeah.
for the room, and you pay for the
Yeah.
class, and and that's fine. But it's also when you're taking your vacation
Yeah.
time, so you lose out on that. But
Yeah.
this is the woes of being a
But
puppeteer. If you love it,
again, if it's something you love and you're driven to do it, then nothing matters.
if it's something you love, you just got to do it.
You just got to do it.
But anyway,
What's sad about that? If I let my eyebrows get a little bushier, that'd be me.
yeah. Well, it's not sad. It's actually
I wouldn't have to do
comforting.
anything, just get some bushy eyebrows, and that's me.
Comforting. That's it. I'll send you a couple tufts of black fur. You could just
Yeah,
stick them on
stick
your
them
real
on. Yeah,
glass. There you go. There you go.
it's insane.
We'll have to make a pair of Sherwin glasses that you can get at
Yeah,
Neil.
uh,
So those of you that need them, well, next year we'll have them there.
yeah,
$10 a pair.
ten
No,
bucks.
but yeah, you can't. Again, puppeteers money, right? It's like
Hmm.
$10. I don't know that you can make them for that.
Yeah,
But yeah. So I don't know if this was informative or
it
helpful.
was. It was very influ. I was just about to tell you. I think we just capped that hour so quickly.
Yes,
We
blink of
did.
an
Yeah,
eye.
yeah.
I could talk. I'm good at talking. I can
You
talk
are.
forever. But
That's what I told you. It's just casual. We just want to talk puppets, and we talked a lot of puppets.
yeah, did we?
Yeah,
I'll
we
have to
did.
watch.
Yeah,
I have to
and then
tune in. Here's the
you'll have
link
to
right
tune in. There's the link right there. It's moving.
right there. Am I
I have to.
pointing the right way? I guess it
I
is
don't
for me.
know. Like I think like Zoom is mirrored, so I'm pointing the wrong way.
Right. I
Yeah.
think I might be too, right? I
Zoom is
don't know.
good for monitor practice though.
Oh yeah.
It is.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Because it's the wrong direction and the
The
right
wrong
direction at the
direction.
same
That's
time.
right.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Have I ever showed you my gray hairs? See?
No, but I'd love to see them.
Look, I'm showing them to you. It's all gray,
Oh,
you
we
know.
can't see them on Zoom. Yeah, well, you want to see mine? You'll have
Oh,
to wait a little
until
while.
they grow out, right?
I'll come back in a month. Yeah. And that's how long it will take.
Uh,
But yes,
yeah,
we get too soon old and too late smart. That's what my grandfather used to always tell me.
it's true. It's true.
It's true. I
Yeah.
didn't know what he was talking about
But
because
now you know, right?
I
I
wasn't
wish
smart when I
I
was
wish
young.
that I knew what I know now when I was younger.
Same,
Yeah.
same. But it's a journey, and I think the puppet world is fascinating. And people that are out there just learning and all, you just keep plugging along because
Yeah.
I'm continually saying, oh, you can't, it's tough making a living, but you can do it.
You can do it.
There are resources. I'm just new to it.
Yeah, we were both just new to it. And I'll tell you something. I was looking at the Beretta brothers the other day, and the guy who puppeteers Gonzo the Great, that's Dave Goles. Dave Goles is done 50 years with the Muppets. 50 years. And before he came to the Muppets, he had a whole life and a whole career before that. He started late. Well, late in Muppet times because he was 27 and he was an engineer at HP at Hewlett Packard. So it was something that he left an entire career behind and came into the Muppets to become a fabricator and then became a puppeteer.
Yes.
So you could start
Well,
a whole second life.
I'll keep you posted. Let's hope maybe I can, move into this and help subsidize and
Help
leave
subsidize.
leave what I've well,
Yeah.
what I've built upon, and that's really the big challenge for me. I mean, I'd love to dedicate it full time, but
Hmm. Hmm.
um we all have practical needs, right?
Yeah,
So we have to keep them in mind.
but we
You,
keep that
God bless
alive.
you. I'm proud of you. You're great. You know, you're there in Trinidad, and
Uh-huh.
you might not always have the same resources we have.
Hmm.
You might not, you know, people are far away, and you know the slams. You just have to. You're creating them there, and
Hmm.
that's really amazing. You're spreading that world out to people that might not have the ability to be
Yeah.
exposed to it. So
And if it's not here, that's why I'm trying to bring it here. Like it's not
yeah,
a hard thing to create, right? We could tell stories. We have a million
that's right.
stories to tell. And you
That's
tell
right.
stories with puppets. And that's
That's
where,
true.
yeah, and that's how we keep the ball rolling. And someday we'll be able to join the two.
That's right.
I could bring what I've done here to the O'Neill, and
Yes, I
and then
hope
you
you
can
do.
share. Yeah.
Yes.
So tell me what you got to say to all the nice people in Trinidad that are not on this beach with me right now.
Oh, to all the people in Trinidad, first of all, I hope that I can come there soon and visit you and share whatever I might be able to share because I have never been. But also, you're lucky you got Sherwin there because
Ah.
that's the most important thing to realize. I mean, we're all people, right? But he has a lot. You have a lot to offer, and I think it's. I'm proud of the fact that how much you've done in the last few years with just spreading the word and the knowledge and the gift and love of puppetry. That I'm sure you've come across people that take
Yeah.
your
Hmm.
coursework and
Hmm.
leave with a completely different perspective.
It is quite a fulfilling thing. And thank you, Joe, for
So
those
seek
kind words.
Sherwin out if you're there, and he will teach you a lot
Shameless plugs.
more than I can teach. I'll tell you that. I hope someday I could know half as much as Sherwin.
Aw, and I hope someday I could know half as much as you do about SNL.
Oh, put our brains together and burn
Yeah,
down a tree or
yeah. Or we could just like bump our heads and be like, ah, that hit a lot.
something. Trade trade brains. We're pretty
Yeah,
soon to be able to do that with a
yeah,
digital. I'm working on
yeah. Digital brain.
it. Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, Joe.
but
It was
we
nice.
missed you this year at the
I
O'Neill,
know.
and I hope to
I
see
missed
you
you
next
guys.
year if you can
Yeah.
make it.
I'll try my best.
Or at least take a journey up to New York and visit again. Isn't
I'll
that
try my.
funny? We went to see the Lion King. I
Yes,
forgot
yes.
about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
What a
And that was
coincidence.
that was the inspiration, I think.
It
Yeah.
was. It
You felt
was.
the love.
And I hope you all too can
We
feel the.
did. We did.
Yeah, we did.
Dude, I
No,
was
this was
obsessed
great.
with that show
Thank
now.
you for having me.
Yes.
And,
And
you
we
know,
loved having you. And I love hearing a lot of Joe's stories.
oh,
And I'm
yeah.
sure it was good being able to unwind after the O'Neill and get all those
Yeah, it
stories
was.
out. Yeah.
It was. There's a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. A
Yeah.
lot happened this year.
Thank you so much, Joe. And we
Thanks for
miss you
having
and we
me.
love you so much.
Love you too.
Yeah.
Look forward to everybody there in
Yeah.
Trinidad. God bless.
Bye.